To be called selfish, to be considered self-centered.
Like, it actually cannot be named that. Like, I don't want to be associated with the word selfish in any context.
Girl, selfish is not a bad word. It is about self-respect. It is about what we want. It is about self-care. It is about self-love, self-fulfillment. Welcome to the Self-ish Latina podcast, where we get to be self-ish together. Okay, are we ready? You're so awesome. All right, so here we go.
This is a very special podcast. I read Gary Vaynerchuk's book, Crush It, 10 years ago now. So I'll never forget when my husband handed me this book and said, we should read this book. And this guy knows a lot about social media. And I loved the book, found out that he was going to be in Denver at World Market signing books. And we drove to Cherry Creek to World Market, stood online for at least an hour, and met Gary, had him sign a book. It was awesome. So never in my wildest dreams would I ever think that 10 years later, I'd be sitting in his office and invited there, like invited to spend the entire day with him and his staff. I mean, it was like a dream come true. The way that I was invited was through a woman named Valera, who reached out to me and asked if they could screen the film at VaynerMedia.
Look, I set it up all the time. Mm-hmm. I go into rooms like this new role that I have. Mm-hmm. I actually introduce myself and I'm like, and I'm the only woman and I'm the only Latina.
Good for you.
Because that's an important thing, but it's also not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's a great thing.
Right? Like,
oh my gosh. You're a role model. You're like, if someone here, like a little Latina girl, we just met with this Starbucks, like Starbucks called us out of the blue. We're meeting with them. And I met with them to have coffee right before this. And I said, I'm not going to lie. The person that I care the most about is the little Latina girl, because she needs me more than anybody. Because she needs you more than anybody.
I go to rooms all the time, and I'm just like, I hear people talk about, like, they talk about women in advertising. Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of, like, women-centric media companies now. So they're like, the struggle is not the same. And I'm like, I'm going to be the counter person here, like, as a Latina woman. Like, I still don't see people who look like me. So I've moved beyond that. I'm no longer looking for those women. I've decided I'm going to be that woman for the next generation.
That is awesome. Right? I love that.
Like,
yes.
I can sit here and I can complain about the fact that I don't see more women that look like me, or I could just be that person and I could put it out there all the time and I can say, I'm Latina, I'm proud, I grew up here in the projects in New York City, and like I have no qualms about that. So like if you identify with any piece of that, great.
She's, people need to know who she is and that she's so accomplished and that she's right there next to him. And she was just promoted to be the vice president of the Sasha Group. She's a badass.
I am Latina, for those of you that didn't know that. Born here in New York, Peruvian, Chilean, half and half. And so I'm always interested in consuming Latino media and finding out like who's telling our stories. We were able to make it work on a day that she could come and also meet with Gary and get the benefit of like hearing from him how she makes this project a movement. So like, yes, we're here for a film screening, but like this is, to me, of interest to VaynerMedia as a whole because our society is a multicultural society. We do general market advertising, but what general market looks like today is really different than what it looked like 20 and 30 years ago. This is a safe space, guys. So like, this is a space for asking questions of Denise, of each other, and it's a continuing conversation. So, Denise.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
So the way this totally... Nice, Henry. Really nice during my big moment.
There you go. It's just a hard drive.
So the way that we got started was we met with our crew in a coffee shop right across the street from Hudson Yards. My body is super tense. The good thing is that it's kind of cold out and I'm not wearing a jacket. And, just feeling awake and alert, anticipating. I am like... I feel like I have a smile from ear to ear. Like, I can't even think of another time when I'm just so freaking excited. The night before, I had paper all over my bed. I had my iPad. I had my laptop. Wanting to make sure I asked him something different, wanting to make sure that I seemed interesting to him, wanting to make sure that this hour that he gave me would feel worthwhile for him as well. and also be valuable for the people that would watch it and listen to it.
All right, so it is raining. I don't want my hair to get messed up. Henry and I are walking up to the building. We are at VaynerMedia. We're about to walk in. I feel like I've been waiting for this moment for a really long time. And here we are.
Hi, nice to meet you, girl. Oh, welcome to the office. Welcome to VaynerMedia.
Thank you very much.
That's so wonderful. Do you want a quick little tour of the office?
I would love a
then?
tour.
Awesome. So we'll give you a little rundown of what we do here at VaynerMedia.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're here with Scott, getting a little tour of VaynerMedia. Cannot believe it. Okay.
Yep, it's amazing. So we have Gary in the office. He's in a meeting right now, but he's
Awesome.
really excited to meet you.
Great.
So yeah, this is VaynerMedia. This is our headquarters for everything. We house everything from Vayner Publishing to Vayner Studios to Vayner Sports. All of the different aspects of Gary Vaynerchuk's business life we do here and house there.
All right, so here's something that's interesting. I did not realize this. So I've walked into Fortune 500 companies all over the country, and out of everywhere that I've been, the most welcoming place is VaynerMedia. I mean, everyone, they didn't even know who we were, but everyone that worked there, that walked past us, the people that walked past us walking in, the people that were checking us in, you could just tell they were so happy to be there. I can't get over how many Latinos in professional environments really struggle with their Latinidad. And they don't talk about it very freely, but there's a lot of pain and challenge there, and I really want to show them all these different types of people and all these people winning in all these different scenarios, so that A, they don't feel alone, and B, they can model kind of what they see. I'm just really excited that I get to ask you the questions. So are you ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do it. My name is Lara, and I'm a Latina from New York, born and raised. I currently work in the marketing field. I work for an agency called VaynerMedia, and it's so great to work at a place that it has its own rhythm. There's an aura about it. The culture has always been people-centric, right? We have always been about the quality of the people, and by the quality of the people, we like to hire good people, people who are just good-hearted people. We have certainly over the last few years had to lean more into specific skill sets, right? Because social has changed, and so the demands for what we do have changed. Because the organization was started by a white man, it's a lot of what you saw at the beginning. So when I came to Vayner almost 4 years ago, it was very white, right? There were definitely speckles of culture and racial diversity in there. There were certainly some women, but we definitely lacked more senior women. So women that you could look up to in positions that you strived for yourself. And we were also really young. VaynerMedia today, though, is a very different place. So I'm super proud to say that in the last year, we've hired several women in our C-suite. So we have a new chief strategy officer, a new chief client officer, both of whom are women. I consider myself part of that grouping in that I report directly to our CEO. But I'm still the only woman of color in that senior leadership field. So as much as we're making strides, we still have work to do. That being said, I have always felt like I can bring my authentic self to the table here, right?
We had a little extra time between the tour, and then we were shown his office and told to set up in there. So the crew set up in the office. We had a little time to kind of hang out in Gary's office, which is very iconic because he shoots a lot of his stuff from his office. And so he has these shelves in the back with all of these tchotchkes. And all of a sudden I'm standing in that office. So I took this selfie and I posted it on my regular Facebook page and received a text probably within 15 minutes from Janelli, who said, "Are you in Gary V's office? Oh my God." Because you know what? It's funny. These things are funny. I usually keep it to myself because there's a wee bit of fear that something's going to get messed up and it's not going to happen. Like the Stanford program. I told nobody until I got, the second email saying you're actually in, you need to schedule your hotel, because I thought there'd been a mistake. Yeah. So, yes, I do that, which is kind of a funny thing. So
you hadn't told anyone.
So I hadn't told anyone, and then I took this picture, and I'm just so excited, and I received this text from Janelle. So that was fun, and it was, the anticipation of him walking in a room. I mean, the guy's like a celebrity. He really is.
Is Gary Vaynerchuk, man, oh man, social media sensation /
Gary Vaynerchuk made a fortune by being among the first to use internet marketing tools.
Well, actually, Gary and Maribel walked in together, and the office is really small. And so you were sitting on the floor. His guy was sitting on the floor. Maribel walks in. She introduces me. We give hugs, say hello. And Maribel asked me, do you want me to stay? And I was like, yeah, I want you to stay.
Hi. It's so nice to meet you.
I only consume documentaries. I watch nothing else. I'm super into them. I really think I am kind of weirdly doing it on a daily basis around my own. I love the format of that storytelling and have many a times thought about when I make documentaries.
Oh my gosh.
How would I make them successful?
Uh-huh.
Right? And I mean, not only critically, you made something great, but commercially, I'm a businessman. That's a real part of my.
To talk to her
Understood.
Here,
I like breaking the third wall.
He knows about the laws.
So I am so nervous right now. I am literally thinking what am I doing? How did I get here? Oh my gosh. Saying a silent prayer to hope I don't mess it up. And also just feeling extremely blessed and grateful. I mean, because all roads really go back to following my dream.
And I've consumed a ton of your content. I read Crush It when I heard about Crush It, and I waited online for over an hour to meet with you at World Market in the middle of Denver. And we had a 2-second conversation, and I just remember you being so connecting with me and so nice. And my daughter was there. I was holding her as a baby. And I thought if I could talk to Gary, then Gary could help me figure this out.
You are right about that. I can figure this out. In a sentence or two, what's the greatest thing that can happen out of this hour? That I put you in a position to make what happen? What's the punchline?
So basically, that I become, and not because I want to be a celebrity or an influencer, but that I become the voice of 16 million people that are right now a little voiceless.
You're talking to, you know this because you consume my content.
Yes.
You're talking to somebody who wants to be the single most famous person on earth so that he can then deploy that attention to good shit. By the way, this is not a binary conversation. I want to own the New York Jets.
Yes.
That means that I personally need to amass $3 billion in that is selfish by every sense of the world. One thing we have to do to empower people is not make it this is good, this is bad. Both. You can do both.
Right.
And it's very powerful.
Right, and the thing is here's both, Gary. Both is the best leadership program in America is when you're an Eñye. I always say the best leadership program for 6, 7, and 8-year-olds is to be an Eñye in America. Translate a car deal for your parents. Translate culture.
Get it.
Understand both these worlds, because Latino culture is all collective. It's all, we're all in this together. You, me, Lizzie, your dad, your mom, everybody come to dinner. There's enough for everybody.
You know what the funniest part is, and I think you need to think about this?
Yeah.
I would tell you, and I don't know how much you've gone down this, that's everybody's culture outside of U.S. families in the U.S.
Right, yeah.
It's true.
Except for Northern Europe. So we're influenced. So Northern Europe, it influenced the United States. It has a very self-reliant, I'm going to do this. I don't need anybody here. It's my way. And that's very valued here in the United States. So when an Eñye kid is born, their parents are from this collective mindset. And they're like, listen, it's the whole family or nobody goes, right? Or no, you can't go to any of that stuff. You have to, I never could do sleepovers. I could never do a lot of stuff that my American friends were doing. I always had to do family stuff. And that was a collective. We all do things together. We also don't tell anybody secrets. We don't, everything stays here, right? And then out here is, listen, you can do anything you want, Gary. Gary, we came to the United States, this American dream, right? And so the pressure on the Eñye, right, is to actualize that dream, but also reconcile this collective mindset. And it drives people nuts. And the thing is, it's not good or bad, but it's something worth talking about.
It's so interesting. I would tell you, I'm super fascinated by the last 4 sentences that came out of your mouth.
Thank you. And you're a huge
in hindsight,
example of
that had a lot of. That's really interesting. I haven't thought about that.
So this was personal for Gary. As soon as I started explaining the project and the child of an immigrant, the concept of Eñye, even though he was 3 when he came here, and we had that funny moment when I said you're included. That's a conversation that I have with a lot of people. Eñyes are people that are the children of immigrants and have a very specific and particular experience, and it's new. It's new for everybody, and it was cool to know that it was new for Gary too.
So what it looks like practically is we have about 40,000-ish aggregated followers across all platforms.
Yes.
And when I go somewhere, people are nervous to talk to me the same way that I'm nervous to talk to you. I have to chill people out.
Yep.
But because they feel like I understand them. To make a movie about the experience of 16 million American-born Latinos that don't feel like they belong here, even though they're Americans.
Yes.
And they also don't feel accepted or like they belong in the
caught in the middle.
Exactly.
How do you categorize this American? What do you call it?
An Eñye.
So somebody who's a Latino-born American, is that by your definition?
By my definition, their parents have to be from a Spanish-speaking country.
Right.
Now,
their parents were born from a Spanish-speaking country. They were born here.
Right. Now, and then there are people like you that came here when you were 3.
Yes.
Right. So you're also included because.
I'm super pissed that my sister and brother have this big advantage.
So
when's the cutoff? 8 years old? 6?
You know what? Kind of around there. And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but it's really about just identifying with it.
It's formative years.
Formative years, right? And so if someone identifies with it, I don't want to take it away.
Right?
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
my dad was 23 when he came. He doesn't necessarily categorize that. He was that older generation. He was the parent that came.
Right. And there's a definite immigrant experience, and then there's an Eñye experience. There's lots of concerns about passing on language, culture. There's all this stuff going on in the background, and so. When people see this film, it's my life story, kind of part of my life story, and they always say, "Wow, I can't believe you made a movie about my life story." They think it's their life story, and so and I love that. So we want to keep making movies about their life story and let them know that they matter, that someone cares to do that. I mean, I want to make the rest of my life about this, and incidentally. By 2025, this group that not a lot of people are paying attention to will be the largest segment of the Latino population.
I'll tell you who's paying attention to it. Every brand in the world.
Okay.
There's not a big brand in America that doesn't recognize that macro trend.
Right.
Anybody in big business very much knows that.
Okay.
Because it's the customer.
Right. So,
for example, we don't even have a Hispanic division as an agency. Mm-hmm. We just think it's the market.
It is the market. It totally is.
So I think you should not deploy that underdog mentality on that.
Okay.
Everybody who doesn't have any reason to know about that, if you're just normal 22-year-old Gary who doesn't care about macro business trends, that person doesn't know. But anybody sitting at the table from a macro business trend in the US knows that very well.
Okay.
I'd be curious to take your take on this.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do is I think of myself as Captain America's shield. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I've never said this. I know D-Rock's where is he about to go? Because he hears the same shit. when you live a life where you hit 94% of the same shit, those 6% of times are really exciting.
In Spanish, we would say, pobrecito, D-Rock.
Sorry, D-Rock. I think one thing for you to consider, where I'm seeing my biggest value, is I'm the shield. I'm the one who's giving permission for my following to go tell their mother, fuck you.
When I heard him say that he was a shield to help people say F you to their mother, I'm not going to lie. It was an immediate trigger. I was like, wait, what? I felt like the interview was going south. I felt like it was not going in a right direction. I had no context to what he was saying, and it threw me off. And it's interesting. He said, I have an intuition, I think he said, about you needing to hear this. So very interesting that fast forward at our retreat, one of the biggest themes that came up in our retreat was a Latina's relationship with her mother, the mother-daughter relationship inside of what it is to be Latina. And it's a really hard conversation. It's a conversation that a lot of people don't want to talk about because there's like something sacred about the relationship, but also something very painful about some mother-daughter relationships. And because we're not talking about it, the pain just sits there still like murky water in a pond. And there's a lot of pain. And as soon as people start talking about it, something gets released. And perhaps he was intuiting on that. I don't know. I know I couldn't hear it that day, but I also know today it's a very important conversation to have. I think if you look underneath what he said, it's an interesting thing to think about. Because really, for me, what I interpreted from that was putting yourself first and thinking about yourself outside of the context of yourself in a relationship with your parents, and how we make decisions based on authority figures that are more based on what those authority figures think of us versus what we think of us and what we want to say. And so given that that's how I took it, it also reminds me of how the response I got from a video that we made about putting yourself first over family. And I got a lot of hate on that post. There was someone that called me a disgrace to the Latino community for even suggesting that we as a culture put ourselves first before we take care of others in the spirit of making sure we have enough to give others.
Part of the reason why it took me so long.
Yeah.
Also because I didn't want to offend anybody. It's actually, this is all in the movie, but people have said, and I'm curious to get your opinion. Yeah. They've said that I've opened up Pandora's box, and like, not necessarily in a good way for them, for the people that get to be there and then get to have the conversations afterwards. But I definitely cross a lot of lines. I definitely talking about things that you're not supposed to talk about. And in the feature film that we're working on now, we're even going even deeper. And really all to just be honest, because I think that...
It's the only thing that wins.
Because it's the only thing that wins.
When
That's awesome.
When somebody puts out content that says your mother is your biggest problem, that's a very scary place for me as a human being to go. Misery loves company. Here comes some outside character who's cursing and going crazy and is empowering their child to push back against the machine. Oof. You're talking about the ultimate macro, do not talk about thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to get your opinion about was, so like my film, it doesn't really have a strong point of view except for to validate this experience. A lot of people want to know my point of view, and I definitely have a strong point of view. It's a little bit different than what the mainstream point of view is. So
every day that you hedge is every day that you're losing.
Right. Okay. So do it.
And let's like sit on this for a minute.
Okay. Okay.
You've now gotten to the point that matters. If you are not speaking your truth, you have no shot. You'll be half pregnant.
Right. Okay.
There's no tactic, I just told you. Yeah. What's gonna happen?
Well,
like, look, do you know how much I hate being disliked?
You say that, but there's a lot of people, but I mean, I know that you must have a lot of haters.
I do.
But how do you deal with that?
By recognizing that I can't change the world if I don't. That I can just shut the fuck up and go on my merry way and just make money and do my thing. I lived that life. People forget. I lived that life. That's who that kid was. I made my money and didn't try to help anybody. Either you're brave enough to feel the hurt in return, or you're not.
Right.
Because there is no being cute about it.
Right.
You can disguise it. You can trick people. You're not tricking me.
I got it.
Listen, it's the only thing that matters in this discussion.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about a whole lot of shit that doesn't matter. That, if you can't break through, you won't break through. You won't make the impact. To me, I love that people see me and they see it as self-promotion, and I think I'm doing more for entrepreneurship and self-development than anybody.
You really
because
are.
I'm so willing to go there. Good always beats evil. It's how we're still here. It's true.
Right. No,
it's not idealistic. We'd be gone already.
Right.
Like, we'd be gone. The human spirit is good. It's so fun to have this conversation the day after Martin Luther King's birth. Why do we love Martin Luther King? Good all the way through. And he was flawed. I love when people are like, he cheated on his wife. I'm like, micro. Go macro with me. Go macro with me. Like, everybody's flawed. I got plenty of flaws, but here's what I can tell you. What people do against people that are really trying to shine light on big macro issues is they deploy their own internal light on that person. So the person that is cynical to me, lost. And so everybody's so scared to be tricked that we've created layers of cynicism. They don't want to be tricked by the cult of personality. That what I know is the other shoe's just not going to drop. So I'm cozy. Whether you start off loving me or hating me, you're going to end up loving me because at 90, it's all going to play out. So if you want legacy, well, then you have to go all the way to the truth, no matter who it bothers. And it bothers the people that on paper people think are most associated with you.
It's so true, Gary. You're right, because I don't care about the non-Latinos. The ones that hurt is the Latino, the Latino on Latino hate, which I actually have been public about. That's our biggest problem, is that we hate on each other too much, and we need to change that. We should leverage that because we don't want to be political.
I have good news for you.
Okay.
You have no control over that.
Right.
There's no you leveraging it. Here's how you leverage things. Tell the truth. Let the chips fall where they are. There's no leveraging. Like I've been saying the same shit forever. It's just that entrepreneurship got cool. And so it worked for me. Like the market's gonna do, like, listen, as good as we feel about it ourselves, the market's always way bigger than us. You just tell the truth. You're gonna lose on holding back that 5% that matters. The 90, if you are literally, I don't know everything about the content.
Sure.
If you're telling me the film does something, and then you talk, and it's not aligned, you fucked up. In my opinion,
Right.
You're leaving all the magic.
Right.
You vanillaed it to make it consumable because you weren't ready for the pushback.
No, when I talk, it's magic. And and I'm not saying that from any.
I believe you.
I feel like I'm appointed.
I believe you.
And healing happens, and people walk away, and they resolve relationships.
The only reason I edit Daily V is because if I have a meeting with Maribel where I say something that's part of it that I know some employee is going to get fired or get a raise or move off an account, if I affect somebody else.
Sure.
Otherwise, I would show everything. It's if I'm impacting another person, a specific person. I'm thrilled to talk in macro. I do that all the time. Heads are going to be rolling. I was like, oh shit. That's why everybody's always nervous. But
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Here. I know Brandon's here.
Do you want me to take it?
Oh yeah. Thanks. Okay.
Oh, not okay.
Awesome.
Thank
Great
you
to see
so much. Likewise.
Good
Take
luck.
care.
Bye guys. Thank you so much.
That was amazing. I feel like I just got off a roller coaster.
That's every day.
Wow. So do you feel like that? Like, did I hit on? I mean, I got a ton of value from that.
Look, I let you get your time with him because I was like, whatever, you're here for however many hours and we can chat.
Yeah.
But I think what he's saying, your point of view, right? What's the difference between me? What's stopping me from going out and capturing the same kind of stories you guys are capturing, right? I can go do that. You are the differentiator. And so you need to put yourself out there and be that person because at the end of the day, people are going to buy into the film because they buy into you. And I get it. You are trying to create a movement. It's not just about this film.
Right.
But I think you need to go out there and tell that more. Right? The value I got from our couple of short phone conversations versus what I get from the content you're actually putting out there.
It's like Grand Canyon. I know it is, and I'm happy that we're getting this because it's true. And I definitely I had a huge epiphany about and also too. There's a lot of stuff like me kind of putting myself front and center. I think about my mother and how she's gonna feel, and I don't want to embarrass her. I don't want to, I want her to be proud of me and not feel like I'm putting myself in a vulnerable position.
But to his point, right? If you're trying to figure out what's gonna work for everybody else, you have to at some point say I'm gonna be me and I'm gonna do this thing, and your intent is good, right? And if people can't see that immediately, hopefully at some point they do.
Right.
But don't let them stop you from what you're trying to accomplish, right? People like me need you to tell this story.
Oh, thank you.
We do.
Yes.
Right? And I think at the end of the day, if you're what you are trying to do is such a good intent and is really about building this community and moving us forward and really stopping us from having the same conversation over and over again ad nauseum and move it into a new space.
Really all I wanted to do was make sure the story got told. I had no idea that people would start calling it a movement. I had no idea what I would be called to do, and I'm so excited to do it. This is I will take that job, and sometimes I feel a little not ready,
Sometimes we're not, though, right? Like,
Right.
we think we're not, but the universe is telling you are.
Right.
So just follow the universe, right? Like, I think it'll, again, what you are trying to accomplish is such a good thing. Like, you have people who will support you, and, like, there are going to be like, the minute you say something, right? Like, people, the haters find it, they're looking for it.
Yeah.
But, like, forget it, because the positive will outnumber the negative, and, like, it will carry you through.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're awesome. We gotta appreciate you so much, girl.
Our society is a multicultural society. We do general market advertising, but what general market looks like today is really different than what it looked like 20 and 30 years ago. This is a safe space, guys. So, like, this is a space for asking questions of Denise, of each other, and it's a continuing conversation. So, Denise.
Thank you so much. So I'm super indebted to you, Maribel. I'll never forget that first conversation, and then never forget when we actually heard the news that Gary said yes to what we call this is the Eñye experience, and it is basically like a live director's cut. So anybody here remember what a DVD is? Yes? Okay, so like there's, that feature where you can watch like special scenes with the director and then they make comments. And so that's what we're gonna do tonight. And hopefully you'll be so inspired that you'll wanna share your story. So I think that's why she said this is a safe space, because it's gonna probably evoke a lot of really awesome stuff. And it's the reason why I do this. I had seen the story told in certain books and poetry, but I'd never seen a documentary about it, and I wanted to be the one to make that documentary. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, being Eñye.
My guess is that some of you listening or watching have not yet seen our award-winning film, Being Eñye. If you'd like to see what all the fuss is about and why we got invited to VaynerMedia, you can go to eñyethemovie.com and watch it now. eñyethemovie.com, spelled ENYE, themovie.com. It took me 17 years to pursue my dream, but it doesn't have to take you that long. As a matter of fact, I can help you shorten that time frame down significantly so that you can begin living your dream life. The Eñye Dream Accelerator is a 6-week coaching program designed for ambitious Latinas who are ready to take action on your biggest dream so that you can finally live the life that you imagined. Our next cohort for the Eñye Dream Accelerator starts in just a few weeks, so don't forget to jump on the wait list now. Thanks for listening, and join us next time on the Selfish Latina podcast.